Chapter 7, the first blood. The first bloodline, Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, as told by Samson. There are moments when the air holds its breath, when the wind seems to pause, the birds steal their wings, and even the ground waits to know which way the story will turn. I, Samson, have felt such moments before battle. The hush before the clash, when 1,000 eyes are fixed on one point, knowing something will break, but not yet knowing who. Cain walked in such a moment. The offering had been given, the fire had spoken, and the voice had warned. But warnings are like gates. They can be passed through, or they can be ignored until the hinges rust. Cain had heard the words, "Sin is crouching at the door." But instead of bolting that door, he turned the handle himself. The sun was high, and the field shimmered with heat. Abel's flocks grazed along the edge where the grass was still green from the last rain. Cain's hands were empty, but his heart was heavy. I do not know if he called Abel's name or if Abel simply looked up and saw him coming. I have seen brothers walk toward each other in love, and I have seen them walk in something that wears the mask of brotherhood but carries the knife of envy beneath its cloak. They met in the field. No altar stood there, no witnesses but the sky and the earth. To the eye, it might have seemed like any meeting. Two men talking among the grass, the flocks moving lazily nearby. But in Cain's chest, the shadow crouched low, ready to spring. Perhaps they spoke of the offerings. Perhaps Abel tried to explain, not to boast, but to bridge the gap. Perhaps he said nothing at all. And it was the quiet that drove Cain's thoughts louder. Silence can be a seedbed for anger, just as much as words. And then it happened. I have seen the moment a spear is thrown, the tension in the arm, the twist of the body, the release. I have seen it in battle where men fall knowing why. Abel did not know. There was no war cry, no warning. Cain rose against his brother, and the field learned a sound it had never heard before. The thud of flesh struck by flesh, the gasp of breath leaving lungs too soon. Abel fell. The grass bent beneath him. His eyes, which had known the light of the Almighty's favor, looked not upward now, but outward, towards something far away. Blood ran from him into the soil, not as the blood of a lamb upon the altar, freely given, but as the blood of a man taken by another man's hand. I tell you, the earth heard it. The earth, which had been commanded to yield food to the sons of Adam, now tasted the blood of one of them, and it cried out, not in sound, but in the kind of knowing that cannot be silenced. Cain stood over him. His chest heaved, his hands were red. The shadow within him did not leave. It only sat back, satisfied. I have felt that shadow. It never leaves on its own. Then came the voice, not from the horizon, not from the clouds, from the very air around him. Where is your brother Abel? Cain's mouth formed the lie before his mind could measure it. I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? Ah, that word, keeper. Abel had kept his flocks with tenderness, with vigilance. Cain knew what it meant to guard, to tend. He also knew what it meant to neglect. His answer was not ignorance, it was defiance. The voice came again, sharper now, like a blade stripped from its sheath. What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. And then the sentence, not death, though Cain might have thought it mercy. No, the sentence was life without home. Now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a wanderer, you shall be on the earth. Cain's pride cracked and fear poured out. My punishment is greater than I can bear. You have driven me from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. Whoever finds me will kill me. But the Almighty, even in judgment, did not leave him unmarked. He placed a sign upon Cain, a mark not of honor, not of shame alone, but of preservation, that none who met him would kill him. Justice had been spoken. Vengeance would not be given to men's hands. And so Cain left. East again, always east, into the land of Nod, the land of wandering. The man who had walked the ground would now walk it without rest. Adam and Eve buried their son. I will not speak long of that, for some griefs are too deep for words. I have seen mothers hold the lifeless bodies of their children, rocking them as if to soothe them into waking. I have seen fathers stand silent, staring at the ground as if they could will it to give back what it had taken. That was the day when the sorrow of Eden's exile became flesh and bone. But I will tell you this, from the place where Abel fell, life would rise again. Not in the same way, not in the same boy, but a line would continue. A seed would be planted that the shadow could not devour. And the mark on Cain, that mark was not the end of his story. No mark ever is, but the path is set him on. That is for the next chapter. For Cain's hands would yet build, and his sons would yet shape the world in ways both fair and terrible.